Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. We have some news, but before we get into that, I just want to make sure to remind you guys that if you do like this type of content, to make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell to be notified of any future videos so you can stay up to date on everything dinosaur here on the channel, and make sure you also hit that thumbs up because every time you do that, it helps the channel out greatly. So anyway, on with the news. The very first thing I want to show you guys is something from Rod's random work, and this is the baby Indoraptor that he has been working on for quite a few weeks at this point, really perfecting the overall sculpt, and I must say that that time and effort has really paid off because it looks gorgeous here in hand, really beautifully detailed overall, and really looking quite reminiscent of the Indoraptor. I would say in baby form he's done a great job of capturing the likeness of what the Indoraptor would look like in baby form, and he's also got one here that he's painted up so you can really get even a better idea, I would say, of just how gorgeous the overall sculpt is with some paint application on it. It honestly looks incredible and is definitely one of the many sculpts that Rod's random work has released that I would love to get my hands on. And then in something that you don't see every day, Rashaad Santiago is creating an absolutely massive Triceratops wall mount with a really nice looking Jurassic Park looking Triceratops bust. I feel like it has a lot of strong similarities to a JP style Triceratops, but one way or another it is a beautiful Triceratops, that's for sure. It is obviously still in progress of being created. However, they are actually intending on finishing the sculpt by the end of the week, and then they are going to be molding and casting this, so this will be something that is going to go up for sale on the part of Rashaad Santiago, and you can even see the Rebor Triceratops up there above it, so that should give you a pretty good idea of how unbelievably massive this Triceratops bust is. But the fact that they are going to be molding and casting this means that it will be going up for sale at some point. I have no idea what the price or anything will be. I will attempt to acquire that information to inform you guys of when there is an update on the model on the next news video, but as far as this goes, if you are interested, you can always contact Rashaad Santiago on Facebook, or you can contact me and I can contact them for you. And then a huge thank you goes out to Paleo Nerd for this information, but they actually had just recently sent me this image of a PNSO model, or potentially a PNSO model of a Dimetrodon, and I must say I am over the moon excited about this Dimetrodon release because I would love to get a Dimetrodon from PNSO. However, there is no word for sure on if this model will see the light of day. It may just be a prototype. We really don't know for sure. It's something that we'll just have to wait and find out about, but I will say that the very interesting appearance, which is obviously very speculative at this point, is really interesting, and overall I actually think it's really cool. It's not something that you usually see with that kind of open spine type look to a Dimetrodon, not something that I've ever seen portrayed before, so it's honestly something I would like to get a hold of. So I am going to keep my fingers crossed that PNSO does end up releasing this, because I personally would really like to have a version of this Dimetrodon in my collection, even though personally I don't feel like this is what Dimetrodon probably looked like. I could be wrong, who knows, but I don't feel like that's what it looked like. But the fact that it's so different and so unique from other Dimetrodon models really makes me want to get one in my collection. If any more information does come out about this, I of course will be sure to let you know. And then as far as Rebor goes, we have a look at yet another of the upcoming Smilodon model paint schemes, and this one honestly is now my favorite. I will say that for sure. Previously there was another really nice looking version, and then there was kind of that He-Man oriented version, which I wasn't a huge fan of the He-Man version. I did like the other paint scheme, but this one is definitely the best of all if you ask me, and the most natural looking paint scheme, so I will without question be picking up this one and the other one I was interested in when they do go up for order from Rebor. But yet again, another beautiful and very natural looking release as far as the paint scheme of this gorgeous Smilodon model. And then you need to prepare your eyes for beauty, because you've probably never seen beauty like this before, as we take a look at the finished prototype of the Yutyrannus from the Beasts of the Mesozoic line, and man was I blown away when I initially saw these images. This is one of the nicest looking models, not just Tyrannosaur models, not just Yutyrannus models, it's one of the nicest looking models that I've ever seen in my entire life, and such a beautiful and striking look for the dinosaur. Like, they have managed to capture every element of the Yutyrannus and the incredibly unique and gorgeous appearance of that dinosaur and bring it to life in this Beasts of the Mesozoic version. Really beautiful paint application, looking just, again, really flashy, honestly, but really natural, which is something that can pretty much always be said when it comes to a Beast of the Mesozoic figure, as they often do release supernatural looking paint schemes, but always a bit flashier than your average dinosaur model, which is something that I always have to commend the Beast of the Mesozoic line and David Silva for. But this round of images of this gorgeous Yutyrannus have me more excited than ever for the upcoming Tyrannosaur series. The next thing I have is a really cool Cryolophosaurus bust from Fabio Pastori, and I apologize to him if I did butcher his name, but this is a really beautiful looking, very high quality bust that he has created, and includes taxidermic eyes as well as a marble base, so that is super cool. And I must say that the actual detailing on this bust is beautiful, probably one of, if not the nicest, Cryolophosaurus sculpts that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Definitely yet another of the many resin kits out there I would love to get my hands on and give a paint job to, because looking at this you could just see how good the detailing aspect is. Detail that beautiful paints itself, trust me, it really does. So it would be nearly impossible to go wrong as far as painting something this beautifully detailed. Definitely a really good model to get if you are new into painting, or even, you know, a seasoned vet as far as painting goes. This is a great choice either way, because the sculpt is so insanely highly detailed, it would be nearly impossible to make it look bad. And I definitely have to commend Fabio on creating something so insanely nice. If you are interested in this, I will include a link in the description to both his Facebook as well as his email address, where you can contact him to place an order. We also have a look at the finished product as far as the Passion Charger Acrocanthosaurus model. We unfortunately only have one angle here to take a look at it, but you can get a really good idea now of what the base looks like, as well as the incredible detailing on both dinosaurs. This is again taking highly detailed to new heights as usual when it comes to Passion Charger. I don't know that any company out there that I can think of currently impresses me as much as what Passion Charger releases when it comes to a detailing standpoint. Like, he really captures every ounce of detail in the models that would be happening on the animals that he creates at that specific time, and brings it to life beautifully in kit form. So again, this is another gorgeous model coming from Passion Charger, and definitely something that I would recommend picking up if you have not ordered any Passion Charger previously, and this is the first one you're considering. You will be blown away by the overall quality when you receive it. And if you have ordered from Passion Charger before, then you definitely know what you are getting into. You are gaining an incredible model into your collection, so make sure you check the link in the description, as I will have a link to Passion Charger on Facebook. And as usual, if any of these models that I've promoted here in this video pique your interest and you do not have social media, you can contact me and I will contact them for you. And then as far as Michael Martinez goes, if you can recall, Michael Martinez was the sculptor that is creating a beautiful 1/10 scale Velociraptor Delta that I had shown off in a previous news video. Well, we have some updates as far as some other future work coming from him. The very first thing that we have here is actually a Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor egg, and I really love this. You can see that the sculpt is spot on to the way that the eggs appeared in Jurassic Park 3, even capturing the really kind of like wet and muddy looking base that you do see when they gather up a Velociraptor egg in that film. I also love that you can even see like a dirty appearance to the egg itself, making this look even more realistic and screen accurate. And he's also going to be releasing an Indominus, a hatching Indominus, that you can see here, and I am absolutely blown away by the overall quality of his models. Like, it does not get any more lifelike and realistic than what we are seeing here on these images. This is easily, in my opinion, the best interpretation of a hatching Indominus Rex that I have ever seen, and one of the most realistic looking sculpts and paint apps that I may have ever seen. Both of these will actually be going up on his Etsy store very soon, so that is even more so exciting. So I of course will include a link in the description to both his Etsy store and his Facebook, where you can contact him about purchasing these. But we also have a look at some other future releases coming from him, kind of a sneak peek at the Parasaurolophus that you can see right here. beautiful looking sculpt, absolutely capturing the Lost World Jurassic Park style Parasaurolophus perfectly, even including the paint job, which he is currently in the process of finishing, as he is actually still working on both the sculpt and the paint, but it looks great so far. And he has stated that this will actually come with a few different InGen hunters that will be pulling him down like you see in the Lost World, so really capturing the overall beauty of that scene, or sadness I guess you could say. But we also have another image here, actually two different images. The first one here showing a little bit of a wider shot of the Parasaurolophus, and again giving you an idea of how beautiful it looks, even really showing off how perfectly sculpted it is as far as the pose, again capturing that moment where the Parasaurolophus is being captured perfectly. And there's also a Lost World Jurassic Park style Velociraptor down there underneath the Parasaurolophus, and we can get a closer look at that right here. Yet again, a gorgeous looking model. Sculpt wise, this is beautiful, really showing off just how ferocious those Lost World Raptors are, but also showing off how good the paint application looks on his models. So these are definitely some of the best 1/10 scale models I've ever seen, especially when it comes to Jurassic Park or Jurassic World type stuff. Easily outdoing Iron Studios if you ask me. So if you are interested, again, make sure you check the description and contact Michael Martinez on Facebook or Instagram, or check out his Etsy store. One way or another, keep your eyes out on these because they are going to be awesome. And then as far as Nanmu goes, we have a little bit of a teaser for the upcoming Brachiosaurus coming from them, showing some of the work, some of the progress so far that has been applied to the model. Progress, as you can see down there on the left hand side, states that it is at about 60% as far as the sculpt goes. I am so psyched and so impatiently awaiting the full reveal of this. Again, it's going to be one of the most beautiful things that I'll ever see, and I'm certain of that, being that it is a Nanmu model. I just cannot wait to see the full reveal of this model, and it already looks beautiful. And then as far as Mattel goes, and thanks to Collect Jurassic for these images, but we have a look at the upcoming Dilophosaurus. Looks pretty nice, you know, it's just kind of a retool, I would say, of the previous Dilophosaurus that we have already had with a new paint scheme to it, but the paint scheme does actually look quite nice. It's really quite different from a lot of the other Dilophosaurus that we've had in the past, so it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air as far as that paint scheme goes. Nothing, again, crazy or amazing, but definitely a fun looking Dilophosaurus release. And then we also have a look at the Jalingosaurus coming from the Mattel line as well, which I'm honestly not very excited about this one. It is awesome to have a new species entering the line because we have so few times that we get new species. We mostly get repaints, so it's always exciting when a new species gets introduced, but the sculpt looks really good. I absolutely love the sculpt. The head does kind of appear to be a little too large for me. It looks like it is potentially just a reused Stegosaurus head, and I don't know if it's going to be the exact same size as the previous Stegosaurus head. I really don't know, but just my opinion, the head kind of looks a little bit too big. But the paint scheme of this is not very appealing. Like, the brown legs on the front are just so random and out of place, and really I think makes the entire model look quite strange. Aside from that, I feel like it looks okay paint wise, but those brown legs are just so super weird and out of place. Not a big fan of the paint scheme of this one, but the sculpt definitely looks really fun, and again, it is super exciting having a new species enter the line. And then again, thanks to Dino Mike Mac on Instagram, who supplied me with these images, we have more images of the upcoming Mattel Scorpios Rex, giving us a little bit of a closer look at the Scorpios Rex and giving us an idea of what the action features and everything are. Again, somewhat giving us an idea of the size as well, but definitely a really cool looking figure. I think it captures the overall appearance of the Scorpios Rex really quite nicely. I will say, when we get nice and close to the head sculpt there, the detail looks a little washed out, but it's not something that we can really judge upon until we actually see the figure in person. Definitely a really cool figure overall, though I will say that, and although I am kind of tired of the hybrid deal when it comes to Jurassic World, I definitely am going to pick this figure up when it does release. So as of right now, guys, that's all the news I've got. When more comes out, I'll be sure to send it your way, but until then, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.